Krishnamurti Saraswati, and we're going to begin shortly with week 2 of the 12-week series, a lecture series. But before we get going tonight with the actual teaching, I want to share something important with you all. 3 books are now entering publication. The first is the Surfing Swami, my autobiography, the lived foundations, the path, and the story behind the work. The second is the Regenerative Human, which lays out the developmental and the evolutionary framework that underpins the QEEU model. And the third is the Ascension Formula Volume, the unifying system at the center of this entire canon. These 3 works form the foundation of the QEEU Canon, and they will be released soon. I'm grateful to share this moment with you. With that announcement made, let's now turn to tonight's teaching, which will be about 15 or 20 minutes. So thank you. Last week, we established the architecture of QEEU, the canon, the identity, and the rhythm that hold this institution together. Tonight we step into the philosophical foundation that underlies the entire system, the KRIYA YOGA philosophy. This is not a historical overview. It is not a cultural study. It is the metaphysical backbone of the canon, the worldview that explains how consciousness evolves, how dimensions interact, and why practice is essential. 1. The Yuga of inner acceleration. We are living in a period where the evolution of consciousness is no longer slow, generational, or accidental. It is accelerating. The KRIYA Yuga is the era where inner work becomes a primary driver of evolution. The subtle body science becomes accessible. Multidimensional cognition becomes normal. The boundaries between dimensions thin. The mechanisms of consciousness become teachable. This is the era QEEU was built for. 2. The core principles. Consciousness moves upward. The KRIYA Yoga philosophy rests on a simple truth. Consciousness ascends. It rises through layers. Physical, emotional, mental, intuitive, causal, and oversoul. This ascent is not metaphorical. It is structural. It is governed by laws, subtle, energetic, cognitive, and dimensional. KRIYA is the method that aligns the human system with this upward movement. 3. The subtle body as the instrument of evolution. In the KRIYA Yoga, the subtle body is understood as the instrument through which consciousness evolves. It contains channels, junctions, knots, currents, layers of perception. When these structures are clear, consciousness rises naturally. When they are blocked, consciousness remains bound to lower layers. This is where the KRIYA Yoga philosophy intersects with the new dimensional knot theory. 4. Granthis and dimensional constraints. The ancient KRIYA teachings describe 3 granthis, knots that bind consciousness to limited perception. In QEEU's updated architecture, these granthis are understood as dimensional constraints, binding points, topological twists, cognitive bottlenecks, identity anchors. When a knot is tight, perception narrows. When a knot loosens, dimensional access increases. This is the mechanism behind spiritual evolution, intuitive cognition, and the emergence of higher states. 5. KRIYA as the technology of knot release. KRIYA is not a belief system. It is not a ritual. It is a technology. It works by loosening the granthis, clearing the channels, increasing dimensional permeability, synchronizing the layers of mind, preparing the system for higher cognition. This is why KRIYA is central to the KRIYA Yoga philosophy. It is the method that makes evolution functional. 6. Daily practice as subtle body hygiene. In this era, KRIYA must be understood the same way as we understand physical hygiene. Just as the physical body accumulates waste, tension, and residue, the subtle body accumulates contraction, emotional imprint, cognitive residue, knot tightening, and dimensional narrowing. Daily practice is the hygiene that keeps the system clear. This is why the lineage teaches we practice daily to untie the knots. Not as devotion, not as discipline, but as maintenance of the inner instrument. 7. The zone state as a natural outcome. When the knots loosen and the channels clear, the practitioner enters what we call the zone state, a condition of multidimensional cognitive coherence. In this state, intuition and intellect merge. Gamma coherence increases. Perception becomes holographic. Insights arrive fully formed. Memory feels like remembering, not thinking. This is not mystical. It is the natural cognitive signature of a clear, subtle body. The KRIYA Yoga philosophy teaches that this state is not rare. It is the baseline of an evolved human. 8. The evolutionary arc of the KRIYA Yoga. The KRIYA Yoga describes a long arc of human evolution, from sensory cognition to mental cognition to intuitive cognition to causal cognition to oversoul awareness. This arc is not theoretical. It is observable in practice, measurable in experience, and repeatable across practitioners. QEEU exists to map this arc, teach its mechanisms, and guide students through it. 9. Why this philosophy matters to QEEU. The KRIYA Yoga philosophy is the foundation of the entire canon because it explains why consciousness evolves, how it evolves, what blocks it, what releases it, and what the human system becomes capable of. It is the metaphysical engine behind the multidimensional brain, astral physics, dimensional knot theory, the guidance curriculum, the multiverse architecture. Without this philosophy, the canon has no spine. With it, the canon becomes a unified evolutionary system. Closing. Tonight we have established the philosophical foundation of QEEU, the worldview that makes the entire curriculum coherent. Next week, in week 3, we move into Homo Lumina, the evolutionary model of the human being in the KRIYA Yoga. Thank you for your presence, your attention, and your willingness to step into this architecture. Namaste.